Welcome back to Primary Source China Investment. This week, for all you shortstops out there, we're on show E6 for pitchers and catchers ready to get back into spring baseball. But today, we're talking Germany and China, politics and trade, because we like to think global trade is free, but it's not. And all the tariffs, barriers, and embargoes are intertwined with politics. The two largest economies, the US and China, are still adjusting to the Trump tariffs and COVID. But this week, we turn to Germany. And thanks to Radium Group for a lot of these charts. For the past 20 years, China and Germany enjoyed a symbiotic relationship. German industry delivered the cars, machine tools, and engineering know-how, and an emerging China needed all of that to grow. Surging demand brought all of those orders to German companies and created well-paid jobs for Germany and helped transform that country from the quote-unquote sick man of Europe into the continent's growth engine. All that seems to be coming to an end. And we're going to get into those charts right now. But Peng Guo, at the outset, when you think about Germany and China and trade, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I think Germany is really like the long-term player in the Chinese market. So like the auto industry, this is a big player.
Yeah.
And also they have a strong brand and interest in the chemistry and the other manufacture industrial.
Yeah, you got into a couple of great areas we're going to get into. But you're right, a long time, Germany and China have been trading a long time. Here's a chart, and it's Germany's exports to China as a percent of GDP versus a number of European rivals. And it's obvious that Germany hopped on the China train early and benefited more than other European countries. You can see Germany's at the top there, but at the last 2021, 2022, 2023, you see it looks to be tailing off. And it's true, German exports to China may have already peaked. You can see German exports to China versus China's GDP, and there seems to be some disaggregation.
I think China has been continued to be the largest trade player in Germany for consistent 8 years. So like the 2023, the trade volume is as high as 25 billion euros. But it's still reduced almost 15% compared to the 2020 year. So that's many reasons before that, but more likely it's based on the market.
Yeah, I know there's always been a lot of talk about this win-win, but it seems to be morphing into a zero-sum game. And we'll talk about those autos. Look, German car maker market share in China has fallen by 4 percentage points since 2018. So that's a big loss. And a lot of that comes from the lowest cost manufacturer, which is Volkswagen, which sold fewer cars in 2023 than it did in 2013. Last year, China's passenger vehicle market grew by 5.6%, but Volkswagen's China JV profits fell to their lowest point in a decade, below even 2020 levels. German luxury car makers have performed better than Volkswagen, but are facing a more challenging environment as Chinese consumers embrace local brands and that are venturing into the luxury segment. This notion that there's going to be an unbroken stream of green lights for German automobiles, that's actually been broken now because you have competition in China. And then the second part of that equation is Chinese brands going abroad, because that's the next leg for Chinese manufacturers. And we've done a show on this. Chinese car manufacturers are coming in fast. This chart here is instructive. We just said it's not all about autos, but you can see in all of these key sectors, Germany's share of global exports is dwindling while China's is ascendant. It's happening, folks, and there's no turning back. There's two primary reasons. We're going to get into that. But just quickly on this chart, you can see vehicles, electrical equipment, we know, right? So China's been leading that for many, many years. But even in specialized and industrial machinery, power generating equipment, chemicals, which you mentioned, Peng Guo, all of these, you see Germany's percent of global exports is declining and China's is increasing. There's no getting away from that.
Market is a competition place. In China, it really face the international competition. So you will see all the names from the globally. So you have it's very hard. I know to get a competition edge in China market for the long time. And also technology grows that's quickly. So that's really you don't want to be retired by other company. You have to keep pace with the technology.
Right. You bring up the first point, which is Chinese competitiveness. This is not propaganda. This is from the German Chamber of Commerce on the ground. 51% of German firms believe Chinese competitors will become innovation leaders in their sector within the next 5 years. That's up from 36% in 2018. And in the automotive sector that you mentioned, 69% of respondents considered Chinese companies already leading or ahead within the next 5 years. So it's obvious that the EV market was a long-term strategic play by the government. And that gets to the second point, which is China's government support. There are other countries that do support their industries. I'm not actually throwing a flag on China right now, but there's no doubt that subsidies and below market inputs for energy and financing, as well as a strong policy support for exports. China's state-owned export credit insurance, Sinosure, and policy bank Exim Bank have in recent years ramped up support of exports of Chinese manufacturing projects. And then Belt and Road projects generate overseas demand for Chinese products. So, this is part of this dual circulation. We joke about it, but it's real. Dominate the local market and then go out. It's absolutely happening with EVs. Now, that's not to say that Chinese manufacturers will enjoy a unbroken boulevard of green lights. They are going to face real competition and consumer demand. Consumers may demand full EV, they may demand hybrid. It's still unknown right now. Just because you make it doesn't necessarily mean everybody's going to buy it. But just
Yeah, I think even you think about the EV car, this is still outdated, and people right now is thinking about the flying car and electronic airplane.
yeah,
This is also too big a market. You have enough space to compete in those areas.
that's absolutely right. And
Yeah.
China's already overbuilt their EV industry. It might be a crash to zero. Who knows? We're not predicting anything, but the the
Yeah, it's
the
like the
reality.
new technology in the battery probably screw up the existing bigger player just over the night.
Yeah,
Who really knows?
yeah, it could be hydrogen or something else. But the
Yeah.
reality is that in this chart here, you see these green bars, and what this means are the Chinese vehicles that are coming to Europe. And you can see it's growing quite quickly. So be prepared to see a lot of headlines like this, where trade is going to be affected. It does look like Germany is reevaluating its trading relationship with China. And I suspect that you're going to see more and more of these kinds of confrontational and trading barriers thrown up.
Yeah, another very important thing that I want to mention that so this is a different technology tree, right? If you choose the wrong tree, that really means you probably be lagged for decades easily to doing that. What's the China strategy? China probably strategy is I just take all the tech tree. So that's probably most other countries like the Germany they cannot afford to do everything in each technology tree. But probably the good ways is still working with China in each technology tree. So, and sooner or later, maybe some tree will grow up and it can still keep up with the pace and get share the profit in that area. That
Yeah.
would be most secure strategies for them.
Yeah, I absolutely sense that there's going to be more and more trade friction going forward. All of these companies and countries are going to have to compete on their own. They're going to have to find solutions for customers. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what business is finding solutions for customers. So,
Yeah, I only hope just the political group or political person could be support rather than cause the trouble
I
for
don't I don't think
for the
we're in the
profit generator.
I don't think we're in the supportive government business anymore. But we're going to leave it there for show E6. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.